Once upon a time in a small town, there lived an old woman named Mrs. Jenkins. She had spent her entire life in the same house, surrounded by stacks of books and old photographs. Mrs. Jenkins had always been a curious soul, and her most prized possession was an ancient diary that she had found in the attic years ago. One rainy afternoon, Mrs. Jenkins was going through her belongings when she stumbled upon the forgotten diary. Its pages were yellowed and fragile, but the words inside still held a sense of mystery. As she read through the entries, she discovered that the diary belonged to a young woman named Amelia, who lived during the early 1900s. Amelia's entries were filled with tales of adventure and unrequited love. Mrs. Jenkins became engrossed in the diary, feeling a deep connection to the woman who had written those words so long ago. She felt as if Amelia's story was calling out to her, begging to be shared with the world. Determined to uncover the truth behind Amelia's life, Mrs. Jenkins embarked on a journey through the town's archives. She spent countless hours searching for any information about Amelia and her family. With each piece of the puzzle she found, the story became clearer. Amelia had been a spirited young woman, known for her love of the outdoors and her free-spirited nature. She had dreams of exploring the world and defying societal expectations. However, her dreams were shattered when her family arranged a marriage for her with a wealthy but cold-hearted man named Edward. Amelia's entries grew increasingly desperate as she tried to resist the arranged marriage. She wrote about secret meetings with a young man named William, who filled her life with joy and adventure. But their love was forbidden, and they were forced to keep their relationship hidden. Mrs. Jenkins couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness as she read about Amelia's struggles. She wondered what had become of her, and if her story had a happy ending. The more Mrs. Jenkins discovered, the more she felt compelled to find closure for Amelia's tale. One day, while going through an old photo album, Mrs. Jenkins stumbled upon a faded picture of a young couple. It was Amelia and William, their eyes filled with love and hope. Intrigued, she decided to dig deeper and found a newspaper article about a tragic accident that had claimed the lives of both Amelia and William. Mrs. Jenkins felt a mixture of grief and relief as she learned the truth. Amelia's story had ended in tragedy, but she had lived a life true to her spirit. Mrs. Jenkins knew she had to honor Amelia's memory and share her story with the world. Inspired by Amelia's diary, Mrs. Jenkins compiled her findings into a book. She poured her heart and soul into the project, ensuring that Amelia's story would not be forgotten. The book, titled Whispers of the Past, became a bestseller, captivating readers with its tale of love and sacrifice. As Mrs. Jenkins held the first copy of her book in her hands, she felt a sense of fulfillment. She had given Amelia the voice she had been denied all those years ago. Through her words, Amelia's spirit would live on, touching the hearts of generations to come. And so, the forgotten diary had found its purpose, reminding the world that even the quietest voices can have the power to inspire and change lives.